Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Where is
And
our host at morning?
he's attending a janaza. Uh,
Oh,
and I said to him, I will sit in for you. And here we are to begin because uh, I realized I have to work and
you froze. We can't hear you.
remember the overlay of the YouTube. I'm letting that take place and I'm eliminating it. And it just happened, and we are live. Just for our audiences, when we click on go live, it begins to function as soon as we press go live and recording. This is Living in the Upload Life. The usual host is Mr. William Kareem, who is a host here on American Muslim 360 Mondays and Tuesdays, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Monday is Living in Upload Life, and Tuesday is The Stories of the Lives of the Prophets by Ibn Kathir. And today, as it would be that our host is attending a service for one who has, we use the word transitioned rather than saying died or dead or, and we can say passed on, indicating that we're speaking of a servant of Almighty God. And for me, the body is truly a servant of the Almighty. And that's what we care for once the person, the soul, the persona has left. It has become very evident with the inactions of the body and the no breathing of the body, uh, that a person has, the soul has transitioned, moved on. And that is where William Kareem is today, attending along with others the services for a dear brother, Mr. Hafiz. I hope I have his name right. I hope that's, well, someone there that he was well aware of and well aware of the character and all. So, as we began this morning, I'm Martha Nyla Williams Abdullah, and actually, right now, the sunshine is coming through a window that is right in my vision. So, let me do this. One moment. All right. As I All right, and welcome once again. You may, I don't know if you can see my shirt. It says American Muslim 360. All right. Advertising, right? American Muslim 360, as I'm one of the hosts as well. And as we began living in the upload life, it would be that technically, um, here we began at an hour. Let's see, it is now on the East Coast. It is 8:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I would say we started just about 8:40, 2 minutes ago. Uh, Time is something that uh, we are equipped with, though we can't reach out and touch time. And time is the womb that everyone lives in. We cannot stop what we have to qualify as time. How do we qualify time? And living in the upload life, we began. Many of us, we would have a watch on our wrists, uh, some type of watch, whether it was leather or metal or cloth or a spandex kind or the collapsible wristwatch is what we used to call them. And before that, they were there were the little round clocks that were on a chain. They had a little twisting metal thing at the top where you actually the insides would be turned, and there are circular mechanisms on the inside of it that the teeth, there are two rollers, and they have little teeth on them, if I can call them teeth, gaps, metals that have gaps, circular metals that have gaps between the metals that fit right into the gap of the other circular metal. And when you twist the top piece, it is like a stem that goes and it causes the rotation of the what we call the watch mechanism, and it begins to rotate, click, click, click on its own. And while it's click, click, then it inside will also an attachment of what we call two pronged pieces. And those two pronged pieces we call the hands, one shorter than the other. And as the movement of one, the other one would move. They were on a little stem, also a flat circular pieces, the little hands we call them, fit right over another circular piece with a little stem that comes up where they can just fit right on there, and they will be uh, tightened where they had just enough space that they could move at the movement of the circular pieces that were moving. So they were all connected some kind of a way so that we would know when those hands you could move on the front of the watch. Some of them you could move the hands on the larger things that we called clocks because they were not watches. And I don't know how we called them watch. I guess we were watching time, but we were also watching time on what we call clocks. And we had clocks that were not on your body, and we would call it a clock, though it was a time. And then at one time we called them time pieces. And so, living in this upload life, we don't have those mechanisms as much as we don't use them as much as we do now. Our electronic clock is still the use of some mechanism. Now, my grandson was telling me that it's called a circuitry, CIRCUITRY, a circuitry board. He says everything uses has that circuitry process going on where it is um, the wow, that's harder to explain as I think about it. But if you've ever soldered or heated some element and it became liquid, well, that's the minute piece of a soldering board, a circuitry board, where you solder the little pieces together onto a platform, and it allows uh, information to be collected, and likewise with time. So the information, it is the person, whoever is setting that circuitry board, has it attached. A wiring is used, and this is coming on up from the clock and the watch timepieces, and we come to those circuitry boards. Now we have wireless, but my grandson said there's still a circuitry process that is used. So when I'm looking into a telephone, which is also a timepiece, it has the time on it, and the time is moving or being calculated or processed or aligned with by some mechanism, I take it, on inside the makeup of this phone. Now we're still using some kind of device, no matter how little it is. Now, when we get to the part of just waving our hand and it carries with it, the wave carries with it uh, computer processing, like in our fingertips. We can touch something But we have to touch something today. We have to touch it. And as soon as we touch it, the sensation or the sensitivity of that mechanism, it does whatever we're wanting it to do. Such as I touch and you touch the screen of your phone, something usually will happen, or especially if it's been charged, right? So now the charging is that mechanism that's on the flat surface of the phone. Whatever device, whatever mechanism is being used, it has the ability to power up what we call the phone, the telephone, which is also our timepiece, which is also our storage of information piece. Wow. So we're not only able to speak on it and speak back and forth to one another, we're able to also see one another. So we have all of this working on this one device. It's a timepiece, it's a communication piece, we can really hear one another. It is a camera. We can see one another. It is a video camera. It is like a stationary camera, snapshot camera. And then it is a video camera where you can also process talk and camera and the video at the same time. And you say at the same time, back to time, it has a set time as it starts processing that time that you start the video. So it will maintain how long you have talked or been in the video. Time. And then that's time that we can see number wise. We use numbers. And that takes us on to the algorithm, the rhythm of everything. So starting back with those little circular pieces I was speaking of, and they're circular, they're on they and you twist that top knob, the little circular knob outside of the big watch that we used to call it, and you twist it and it starts the movement. But you twist it until it can't twist anymore. And that means that movement of those circular pieces will go back to a beginning to where you started to turn. That means it only has a certain span of circulation that it is going to be going through, and then it will stop, and you have to retwist it, or you don't want it to stop. You will keep making sure you have it twisted enough so that it can go tick, 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 tick. You can actually hear it ticking. Now, on our telephones, we don't hear a ticking. Where did the ticking go? So from that circular pieces with the teeth I was speaking of with the gaps, now we don't have that. We have what we call the circuitry board. That was when we had telephones. Remember the telephones in our homes? You drop that telephone, sometimes the pieces would come apart, and you pick the phone up. Those little oblong, not oblong, circular. No, what would you call the telephones that we used to have the big handle and we place it over the top, which had knobs, a little depressible buttons, two of them, and you put the microphone and the hearing piece, which was one handle device, and you place it on top of those depressible uh, prongs, and they would go down. And when they went down, you were hanging up the phone. But you look at the attachment under the phone; it was a square bottom, and it had a housing that you set above the square bottom attached to it. And when you lifted that housing, you could see underneath and you would see a cord coming out of an electrical cord. And you always plugged it in. Along with that electrical cord was it electrical? No, I'm wrong. There were wirings that came out of, but I remember we did plug us in. Deprita, do you recall? Did you all plug your phones in as well as had the wiring, what we call a phone jack. But back in the days, we had to also plug in our phones to maintain an electrical connection. As far as I remember, I could be mistaken. I know we plugged in the clocks. The clocks had a cord, which meant that inside that cord was a rubbery covering of some electrical wiring. And that cord was the protection for us of that electrical wiring. So now at the base of the telephone, that wiring went onto a circuitry board. It connected with other wires, literally, though the wiring was in a housing, and the wiring, you connected them together. Well, we have that same process happen coming with the clocks, the separate clocks from the telephones. You had wiring that connected and went on to we call it the fiber optic situation. Fiber optic, wireless. Oh wow, wireless. The conduct of those electrons and whatever else the electrons are connected with out of the space, and I'm waving my hand, out of space, there's the use of the electrons that gravitate to the mechanism that we're using today. And I don't see any cords. I don't see any wiring. It's just this phone is sitting in my hand. I mean, I'm holding it, but there is no wiring. There are no wires that I'm looking at. Now, if I was to take this device apart and I would find out what is at the base of it, but for me to connect with you, someone else, by dialing a number, and there's no wiring ground that connects to a grounded wire in the ground. That's literally where the telegram poles were put up. Those telegram poles were wooden, and the inside the wood or attached to the wood would be a wiring base, and it would be placed so far in the air space, and it has cable. Now all of us can look up and travel somewhere and look up, and we will see big poles stationary in the ground, and it has wiring mechanisms at the top of it, whether they are lamp poles, some kind of cable wiring going there for electricity to go to our homes, and communication wiring up there for communication processing, that wherever we are, we said, oh, can you hear me now? There's a computation on our phone that indicates that we are somewhere where there is a tower, and that tower is can allow, permit the conduct of these electrons. And as the conduct happens, then we are all using what we call wireless, I guess you call it fidelity, Wi Fi. And so everything in the air, everything around us has these conductors and electrical conductors, and definitely within us. We feel sometimes, have you ever felt a tinge in what we call an electrical shock, especially if you touch something that's plugged in? At many things, we still have to plug in. Not everything is wireless. We plug it in, so we're using that electrical process. And again, the conduct of it all is those big poles that have the cables, and it allows all of us to enjoy in time communication. So living in the upload life, We just keep what we call improving, improving, improving. So we're going to share a video this morning, inshallah, God willing. But if you have any comments, please by all means come on in. Talk with us this morning about your experience of living in the upload life, especially with timepieces, living with clocks, radios, uh, living with clocks, radios, telephones, from yesterday to today's time. And if you can imagine yesterday and the communication, we communicated nonetheless. It didn't matter. We got blessed, and we say, God is the creator of all of this. And so we're just using it. It's a service, it's a resource, and we're just using it. We're using it because we can think. And our ability to think, we find ways to communicate, find ways to connect with one another. We find ways to be with one another. And so, since we are social, we are being human, and that means being social, sociable, being socio connected culturally, economically, educationally, socio. So, yes, we have ways of keeping communication, traveling through time with history, the atomic clock. I'm reading through some videos here. Old TV, record players, radios, and phones. Living with no sense of time. Ha, we don't want to get to that point, right? We want to be aware of time. Okay, so let's go to a sense of old TV, record players, and all. One moment. We're going to share our screen here and share with you. One moment. Okay, let me share my screen. Well, let's go back and first and see. The time is okay. It will be about 11 minutes. Okay, that'll work. So let's share my screen and enjoy the older radios and clocks and telephones.
Ninth reminiscence video from the Living Memory Association. And today we're going to be doing a little bit about technology, and we're going to start off with a piece of music. So we've got this lovely old 1920s Regal 78 record.
Good morning.
So let's have a listen.
Are you ready to eat?
That.
I'm gonna put stuff on mute. One moment, everyone. I want to put myself on mute so I don't interfere with your hearing.
So we heard there from Tom Kinnisborough singing a lovely Scottish song on that lovely 78 record player, a wind-up Decca, one from before the First World War. Do you remember 78? They are very old technology now, but you might more remember a 45 or of course an LP. These, unlike our 78 records, were vinyl, so you could drop them on the floor and they would shatter. And we have here a lovely 1960s record player that you could actually take out on picnics or take outside, and that runs on battery. So, do you remember buying records, or did you club together to buy a record? We hear a lot of that. Or did your parents or your grandparents have these old 78 records? So that was records. Where did you go to buy your records? Did you have a specific shop you went to? Of course, the other way to listen or to music or to speech were radios. We have a nice selection here that we're going to have a little look at. So I have a lovely selection of radios here. I'm going to start with this lovely Columbia wooden radio. This would have had these valves in it, which you may remember. I certainly remember them in televisions, and these could be replaced if they went wrong. But do you remember having an old set like this? Was it on your sideboard? Do you remember some of the old stations? Luxembourg is something, but there were lots of different stations, a lot of foreign stations. You could bring the dial round. Quite often it took a long time to turn the dial, and you'd find all these exotic radio stations. So that's probably 1930s, 1940s. Moving on a bit, we have this is a Murphy. Now, radios, just like record players, became more portable when we got transistors, so this one would have been certainly one you would have taken out and about, so much so that you had your carrying strap and good old-fashioned buttons that make a lovely click noise. Again, Bush, very popular radio at the time, long wave and medium wave. Big huge batteries. Do you remember the batteries in radios? Some of them were PP9s, would be this size. Early radios, of course, had the accumulator, which was a battery that needed to be recharged, often in a glass case. And you would often hear children going along to the shop to get the accumulator recharged. And if you think this is a container containing acid, political health and safety rather, not much in evidence. And I certainly remember getting a radio like this. As I was saying, getting exotic radio stations. This is a shortwave band radio, and you could get lots of different stations from all over the world, so that's quite sophisticated. And telephones. Now we're going right back with this daffodil, I think people used to call this style of phones, and you'll see this. If you don't remember them yourself, you'll see this in old films. Of course, it was this delightful way here of separating the receiver and the talking part like that. So I do like that in old films. Lovely, heavy old telephone. This, I think, is probably 1950s, a very early one, Bakelite style. Now, I think certainly children will not be familiar with this lovely sound which I associate with phoning, which is this, if we have a listen. And a lovely one on this too. That's an even more, very, very clockwork. As we always say about these old machines and technology, it's all about clockwork on this lovely big heavy receiver, which you could tuck under your shoulder there and actually be hands-free, as they now say. And I do particularly like this here. This is a little box you put on your telephone table, because of course we're all conscious of costs, and it actually says telephone, watch your call, and you put your money in here if you're using somebody else's phone. And of course, we used to have the telephone directories, and the yellow pages was the other one. Do you remember that? This is a lovely Edinburgh phone directory from 1915, and look how thin that is, because of course not many people had phones. Do you remember getting your first phone? Do you remember being on a party line, which was quite the thing to be on? And people had to wait for their phone to be put in, and of course it was all controlled by the GPO. And do you remember having a lock on your dial so that children often couldn't dial the phone? Televisions, of course, this is another thing that people remember getting their first television. This is around 1951. Lovely cabinet. Tiny screen. Now if you think of, if you have a computer or a laptop, the screen of your laptop will be just about that size. This was bought, and actually the coronation of Queen Elizabeth was watched on this television. A lot of people remember their first view of the television was actually for the coronation. We spoke again about these valves. That is a whole lot of valves in the back of that. And I certainly remember back in the 60s, we always had old televisions. And my father, certainly the picture would go wrong, and my father would, keeping the television on, open the back of the television up and gingerly move these valves and see which one was the problem, and then try and replace them. The other thing which you continuously had to do was adjust the aerial, and this was a great fun thing almost to do, except it wasn't, because it was rather annoying. Yes, the picture's better, you'd shout. Yes, it's better. No, it's worse. And this would go on for a long time. So this is 1950s, and then in the 70s, we got more portable televisions. This is still a black and white one. This is a Sony one. But do you remember getting your first television? Do you remember getting your first colour television, which came in 1967? And of course, there was photography and filmmaking. Now we've got lovely, this is a box brownie style camera. In fact, it is a pocket brownie, and you have to look through a tiny little window here, frame up your picture, and then take it. And these would take 12 exposures, and film was not cheap, so you had to be very careful of what you would take on your spool. You might take it along to the chemist to get it developed. Do you remember doing that? Did you have your own camera? Well, they were inexpensive items, so not everybody had one. It's a very basic one. This is a little more complex. This is another brownie, again with the big window here. And of course we have at the Living Memory Association an archive of excellent photos taken on such cameras as that. Of course, the other thing, if you really had money, was cinefilm. And this is a lovely Bell & Howell camera. And I particularly remember and love the sound of cinefilm in the projector, that sort of as it goes round, which is very evocative. So did you have a camera, or did you borrow a camera? And did you take a camera on holiday and get lots of holiday snaps? And we should remember that these technologies here, which now seem to us very old-fashioned, were in fact once cutting-edge technology. And we should also remember, because of the advance of technology, that all these things here, listening to music, looking at the television, taking videos and film, using the phone, all can be done on one device, our mobile phone. So that's how things have sped on. I hope you've enjoyed this 9th reminiscence video from the Living Memory Association, and please do remember to, when we're open again, to come along and visit us at Ocean Terminal Shopping Centre and the Wee Museum of Memory. We're on the 2nd floor next to Britannia, and if you have your own memories and you want to share them with us, please contact us via www.livingmemory.org.uk. Thank you.
All right. How'd you enjoy that? Did that take you back into some time span? Um, I was just having a conversation with a coworker, and we were discussing the older times, the times when we had what we call directories, telephone books. And the telephone book, each time you went to a company, a telephone company, and you uh, bought a telephone and got the service, you got this beautifully thick bag, plastic bag that had a telephone directory in it. And your name wasn't in it just yet because you're just signing up for the service. You literally went and signed up. They took all your information down and through your computer. Well, before computers, they were using typewriters. But they were storing information. They physically kept the information about you, your name, your address, your phone, the phone number they were giving you. They give you the form to let you know your phone number. And then you leave out with this big directory. Now you have the directory of everyone who lives in the vicinity that is collected in, that is a part of that directory. So, and then if it was a business, they were in the yellow pages. The white pages contain the resident's name, address, phone number. So you wanted to look up, and it was alphabetical. So you wanted to find your neighbor or anyone. Thank you. Your neighbor. You wanted to find a friend or relative. You wanted to find their information. You would go and to their county. Yes, that's what it covered. It covered the county. Usually here, in Pinellas County, we had everybody that was in the Pinellas County, their addresses, phone numbers, and all were in the directory. I'm trying to think. We were so large here in St. Petersburg that it will cover, it will say the state it covered. If it didn't cover the entire county, but it will say of Pinellas County, it will say St. Petersburg, Clearwater, Gulfport. Then you had to get another directory for Indian Rocks, Indian Shores, Reddington Beach, Reddington Shores, those out along the coastline, the waterways. But nonetheless, you had a directory. So what the gentleman was just sharing with us, taking us back in time, where telephonic and the radios, the 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 musical, uh, what do you call them, LPs. That was back in time. So now we're going to watch a video on timepieces. All right, timepieces and the evolution of timepieces. So stay with us. I'm Martha Nyla Williams Abdullah, sitting in for the illustrious host, William Kareem. Again, our condolences to the family of Mr. Hafiz, and or if I have the right name, all right, but the condolences to the gentleman that dear brother that Kareem William went to attend his services. All right. So this is American Muslim 360. You have any questions or comments you'd like to share while we get ready to go over to the evolution of timepiece, living in the upload life?
Assalamu
If you
alaikum,
want
Sister
to,
Martha.
alaikum assalam. Do you recall those days? What did you watch the video?
I know I just got on about 2 minutes ago. You
Oh,
can bring
okay,
me up.
you
You
missed the
can bring me up
beauty.
to date if you want to.
Yes, we were sharing. A gentleman was sharing information about the older uh, radio, telephone pieces, radio, music, and TV, radio, telephone. Now we're going, and now we start out talking about time being the womb of time, and Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is the creator of all of this. But how our thinking allows us to go into the earth, into the space, and use the electrons and the protons and the neurons and all of that, and connect with one another. The whole outcome is to be sociable with one another, because our sociableness, getting tight tongued, being sociable, we are social creatures, we're told. So, in order to maintain that sociability, even though we use mechanisms, and we talked about soldering boards and the circuitry boards where you solder the those little wires together onto a platform. But before then, we were plugging everything in, like we plug our phones in today. We still use plug-ins because you still need that wiring. So internally, we have a wiring that makes us want to be connected with one another. So that's what we're talking about. So now we're going to go to time, the evolution of timepieces. We talked
Mhm.
about the clock. Remember those little stems that used to be on the circular clocks? We not the wristwatch. We watch time on our wrists, and some of us had a chain watch, and others had the pocket watch, but it was circular, and you could twist the little knob, and the little things on the inside would turn, and the teeth would fit two circular pieces together where it turned, and it had the hands. We called it hands of time. So we evolved.
Yeah,
What are your
you.
comments on that?
Oh yeah, we are definitely involved. I mean, you taking us back some. Probably the senior person on the program, and right now we only have. I think the board is only three of us on right now. Like I say, you're taking us
Yes.
back quite a bit. You're going all the way back. I, I mean, I'll go back so far to say when we come up with comic books, and we saw
Oh,
Dick Tracy, and Dick Tracy
yeah.
had
Oh,
a
I
had a
remember Dick Tracy.
a watch on his hand, on a regular watch. But you see what he was talking to. I mean, he was so far in a dictator that was so far in the future. That's where we are now. But we are going back
Yeah.
60, 70 years ago.
Yes. Now that
I
you speak
mean,
of it, remember the Jetsons?
I'll say it again.
Remember the Jetsons?
Yes, right. Uh-huh.
And
Hmm.
remember they could sit in their home and be on the screen and talk to, they were up in space with these circular vehicles,
Hmm. Yeah, I think
and
you.
he would talk to his boss before he get to his boss. He on the screen
Hmm.
and talk to his boss. And then Star Trek, all of those things where they were talking with someone in another galaxy.
Right. Hmm. Yeah, you're taking us back some. The technology has come a long, long way. And you talking pocket watches and man,
Yes.
that boy. Yeah.
And we think
Wow.
we really think we have evolved, but
Mm.
like you say, we're just getting back into time. We're just going back into the womb of time, staying in it really.
You're right. You're right. Have clocks on our walls,
Yes.
and
And
talking
they will
about
call it grandfather time.
grandfather time. Yes, and you talking about soldiering. Well, I never got into that the math really, but I remember soldiering how you would use a soldier shotgun gun to.
Ordering, yes.
Wow.
So
Mhm. I
we're
thought
gonna
maybe.
watch a little video now. Let's see
Hmm.
here. On timepiece. I think I have the right one up. Let me share my screen. I love it. I love it. I love it. I thank William for letting me do this morning
Hmm.
while he's attending janaza services.
Oh yeah, the janaza service. When he come back tomorrow, he probably gonna tell us about the brother that passed, the
Mm-hmm.
janaza that he's attending today. And he gonna probably tell us something about his father too. I'm, Well, he really gonna have
Yes.
something to tell us about Brother Rashid that passed and his father, a
I was
musician.
saying
He's
Hafiz. Was his name Hafiz?
Hafiz, that's right. It's Hafiz, the one
Okay.
that sings. He's a musician, a songwriter, a songer.
Oh, okay.
We gonna have something when he come back and tell us about that family history.
Good. I'm gonna go mute now, and so you won't be interfere. I won't interfere with your hearing of this moving evolution through time pieces.
All
I think
right.
I have the right one. All right, here we go. Well, to where it's not playing that advertisement as a part of YouTube's agreement here. Hold on. Let me get right to that piece that I want. And okay. This mechanism is something. Okay, now we're ready to share my screen. I don't want to enter any violation. Okay, and I'm going to go on mute.
So many clocks on this desk. Time it is.
You always know these beautiful shiny clocks.
Man, it's amazing how far we've come, right? We go from this to this.
You can have anything you want on this.
It basically does all of these
All
things
those
and more.
things. So what time is it?
I don't know. Humans have been measuring time in various ways for millennia. Our modern day system of time, the 60 minutes, 60 seconds, years ago in ancient, it was just crazy.
Fast forward a couple thousand years. At the Franklin Institute, you can see a model of the Strasbourg clock.
Oh, what's that?
The Strasbourg clock is an astronomical clock. We have a 1/5 model of this 30-foot tall clock.
Oh, that is so cool.
And it has so many different amazing components to it. One of them is a celestial globe. It shows the location of the stars in the sky.
Whoa.
I know. My favorite component, though, is there's an automaton rooster at the very top of the clock. Flaps its wings,
It crows and everything?
crows on the hour.
Wow, that is super awesome. Throughout history, we've measured time all sorts of different ways, right? We started with stars because they're moving in the heavens all the time, but eventually we wanted to harness that. So we looked at our closest star, the sun, and we used its constant light to make shadow clocks, and obelisks were used for that, and they date back to ancient Egypt. But it's not always sunny out, right? Sometimes we need something that will work in the cloudy days, and that's where a water clock comes in. They could be used during the night, they could be used indoors, and they date back to like 325 BCE. But sometimes you don't have water, and so you would use something like an hourglass.
In the 1500s, pocket watches were used to tell time, but they weren't actually put in the pocket. They were actually large clocks that you'd wear around your neck. They didn't fit into the pocket until much later. And then even later still, these small clocks were used to tell time on railroads because you don't want people late to the train, or you don't want your trains colliding.
And at that point, we start to kind of fine-tune clockmaking into pendulum clocks in the 1650s, into the 1870s with the mechanical alarm clocks like this one. And by 1927, we end up with the quartz clock, one of my favorite little clock facts, because quartz is piezoelectric, which means if you apply a charge to it, it vibrates at a specific frequency. And you can use that frequency to tell time because it's so kind of predictable. And we use that same kind of idea in the atomic clocks that were invented later in the 20th century. And those use the vibration not of a little bit of quartz, but in fact a small atom. Essentially, it's a cesium atom, and they would count the number of vibrations to determine time.
The atomic clock is still used today as the most precise timekeeper and is used as primary standard for international time and for GPS, satellites, and the internet.
And that's important because time is different in different locations, right? If you're on top of Mount Everest versus the bottom of the Mariana Trench, time is actually flowing slightly differently. And we need these atomic clocks to keep things all in sync. Not only do we have that on our wrist these days with our smartwatches, but that lets us keep everything in sync, including health monitors, emails, and all sorts of other stuff. And that is pretty incredible stuff. But which of these clocks is the most ingenious, Susanna?
I think it's pretty incredible. Models like the Strasbourg clock that have all these gears and pulleys. It's a whole system of clock mechanism, these small mechanisms that turn hands so that we can all have the same concept of time.
I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, this watch only does watch things. I need my email, I need all my other stuff. Otherwise, what's the point? It's just telling me the time.
Can't you imagine that clockmaker, that tinkerer, who is figuring out, oh, you need a mainspring so that your time is consistent, or a pendulum.
All right, you're right. I think the concept of time in general, being able to kind of match it to something mechanical, that's pretty ingenious.
That's pretty ingenious. Yes, thank you.
Episodes, beyond.fi.eu, and we'll see you next time.
Oh.
Interesting. I never aligned the word atom with time. But think about it. Any comments from you, Mama?
Now I'm just thinking how far technology has come. Boy, I mean, it's a long, long way, technology, boy. And I was just speaking to Shree, who talking about, you saying about the Jetsons.
Yes.
Wow.
The
Boy.
Jetsons. I mean,
Mm.
your son, his son Elroy, his daughter Judy.
Right.
But going back to what the gentleman, the young lady and the young man was speaking about on time on the atom. I remember the quartz. It literally said quartz on the watch that we would have, right? The quartz watch.
Right.
And that goes to wasn't that in the mining, mining? The quartz? Was
Uh,
that something dealing with the rock, the kind of rock quartz? I don't know. I have to look that up. But now, then to move on to the atom, I said, wow, atom is well, they say there's a subatomic mechanism measure now, but still it's atom. And to think about the atom, the power of the Allahu Akbar, the power of the atom and Adam. So the power of our ability to think and without using there's nothing up in our head screwing our mind to make us think.
Mm. Mm.
There's nothing being twisted or turned to regulate our
You're breaking up a little bit.
words are the excuse me. Words are the power move that is the power that moves our thinking. Am I being heard? Okay.
Yeah, hear you. Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, the power of words and and connected with the power of our thought ability, thinking ability that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to use. And then the power of the atom with our bodies using the physical atom. So you have atom and atom connecting together, the spiritual and the material working together, atom and atom. And in our atom process, our blood is flowing, our skin is here and is staying connected. Our tissues, our cells, it starts with the atom and then the molecule, the connection of the atoms and the connection of the molecules into cells and on into tissue and on into the skin, the body, the organs. It is all this is atom working with us. And so now when we think of atom as a time, measuring of time, equipping us with time, we're moving in time. Well, go figure. How old are you? We are moving in time. So we gave says us what allowed us to create something to give us an understanding of time, but we can't capture time.
Go with Adam, Adam, the first man. Then Adam, Atom, and you start thinking
The
back.
material for Adam. This is the earth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed Adam in.
The earth.
In the earth. This is the earth. The atom is the earth. Both masculine and feminine properties in the earth called Adam. Wow. Bring it on home to us, Allah. So we are walking atom in the atom. For a certain time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says for a certain time, right? That we will be individually given a certain time. And you know, when I sleep now, and I call it dreaming, we call it dreaming. And I saw my husband, may Allah be pleased with him, grant him high station in paradise, wherever that is, right? But when I saw him, he was I think I shared with you, probably heard me share it, that I was at this place, this shopping center, and I was taking a break. I wasn't really working, but anyway, point is, he was working with what we call Uber today.
Right. Okay.
And
Uber.
he, yeah, and he delivered my meal to me. And when I saw him, we didn't carry on a classic conversation. He just handed it to me, smiled, turned, and walked away. And I went behind him because I'm looking for my salad that was supposed to come with my fish.
Mm-hmm.
And I just overlooked it. But by the time I saw him, he went to a mutual parking area where the company was that he used as a a go point from. And I saw it and I began to ask about my salad. And then I something say, look underneath your fish. There was a divider there.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked under and he says, right when I was checking it, he was asking, did you check underneath? And I checked underneath and I go, oh, okay,
Right.
here's my salad.
Uh-huh.
But
Mm-hmm.
but to know that, in this life, that was my husband.
Okay.
And to see him in that arena, I don't know how we think about moving through this time that's I can understand now Paul says, and speak not of my servants as being dead. Because we don't understand it. We who are here in this time, we don't understand it. But ah, I'm just thankful. Allah, I'm thankful for a little understanding or connecting that Allah is allowing us to have of time. And so as we use words for our mind to go through time, and we eat and exercise and sleep or rest for our bodies to go through time. Wow, the beauty. Any comments from you or Dr. Sharifa or Depreetha, I think?
Yes, Reefa, she's in another room now. Uh,
Okay.
but the priest, I don't know if she's on. I see a mic, but
Oh, she
I
she
would
may
say,
be she's busy.
yeah, probably so. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yes, yes. So we're going to end it right there and await
You
William's
have anything you
return,
want to say?
inshallah. Dr. Sharifa?
Assalamu alaikum. How are you,
Alaikum
Sister Martha?
assalam. I am just wonderful at this time.
Alhamdulillah. And Muhammad was telling me that you were talking about time and technology.
Yes.
And I had mentioned to him something that fascinated me when I used to watch the Jetsons
Yes.
and those little devices that they got into where they could just zoom, be off to somewhere else. I said, wow. When I don't, that's not here yet, but one day, inshallah, I was thinking that, well, probably long after we're gone, I was thinking some of our progeny, they'll probably be telling their parents, well, I'm going to Mars this weekend to such and
Yeah,
such event.
yes. And
Get him.
like Star Trek, right? Zoom me
Yeah.
up. There was no problem with them standing inside this tubular thing, and that their atoms were going to their atoms were going to spread out and move to another location.
You're right. Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. So
Mhm.
Allah is keeping our atom, very connected. When we look at our skin and see the epidermis and know there's an endodermis there, and knowing that Allah is keeping all of this intact by the mechanism of the rotation of the earth, the centrifugal force, the revolution of everything, and the timing that Allah has set every planet on, the plane that they're in. And we are we are the benefit of all of this movement, of everything else moving, we are the benefit of it. We are the structured outcome of the movement of everything else that's on time, on Allah's timing and time. Oh, praise be to
I
Allah.
love your description. Alhamdulillah.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm going to
Alhamdulillah.
step out. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, love you, sis.
I love you too. May Allah continue to
Assalamu
bless you.
alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, we
And we're
just
going to
mentioned
end now.
watch,
Oh, go ahead.
Apple Watch right now.
Yeah, and
You,
little does Apple know that and we started with Apple Macintosh, the computer, um,
Mhm.
and I had an Apple computer and loved it, loved the font size, and the way the words, the letters were that you can documents can be made and read beautifully. Uh, the size of the letters and all of that, the ability to store the information. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, no more Apple uh, places where you can take your Apple computer to get it serviced. So I'm like, wow, okay, well, what are we going to do? Well, I had to get rid of my computer. But the point is that clunky, big computer
Yeah.
that's been sized down now
Hmm.
to this little gadget I'm holding in my hand that
Hmm.
does what the old-fashioned telephones used to do. It does what the clocks used to do. It does what the cameras used to do. All three rolled into one right here in my hand.
Assalamu alaikum. I can't
Alaikum
I can't
assalam.
see your hand. I came back again because what you're saying, I'm wondering if that's one of the devices that my daughter had. She sent me a picture of it. She said she can hold her computer in the palm of her hand. I said, wow. And it's an Apple. Allahu Akbar.
Well, your telephone device that you haven't that you're talking on now.
Oh, I see what you're saying that. But she's saying that her actual computer
Really?
is real. I forget what the name of it is that she called it. It's like a little mini computer that you can hold in your hand. But of course, the monitor, the screen itself, she has connected to a larger monitor. But
Okay.
the CPU part, she could
Uh-huh.
hold in the palm of her hand.
And what
I
does she
said,
do to it? Speak to it? Because I can't
"Oh
imagine you
no,
typing on it.
no, she well, she has
A
a separate
stylus?
wireless, what would you say, like keyboard, and then she has the monitor. But the CPU itself, the computer, that was just amazing.
It is. It is. But and that's those are the blessing, the rewards. If we look at it that way, the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be able to do that.
Allahu
Um,
Akbar.
to Allahu Akbar. I mean, Allah is allowing the words, the calculated words to be computed and then voila, spit it out. We used to say, spit it
Alhamdulillah.
out.
Yes.
Mhm.
Spit it. Like, what are you trying to say? Spit it out.
Mhm.
so, so imagining saliva and then the time, the piece that you're speaking of, it's been spit out.
Yes, and it's a big difference, like you said, because I think what was it in around 1980 when we had
Mhm.
the Apple computer, or was it back in the 70s? Because 1980, I think,
No,
was the
I think 80s
PCs.
because 80,
Okay.
82 is when the hospital I was working in,
Hmm.
1982,
Okay.
I got to train on some of the first computers. They had the big generator that covered a whole wall in the hospital.
Wow.
And that was the brain for all the work that was being done on the computers that was given to every secretarial area, administrative area in the hospital. And I worked
Wow.
in outpatient registry and the emergency room. for as a reception intake, and everyone coming in, their information had to be taken in. We had to throw away those typewriters that we had gotten used to, and now go on the computer and be very careful about what we put into the computer. But down in the basement was the materialization of what we were computing, meaning that's where our forms were computed. Emergency wise, any department that had the actual form, it will be 3 or 4 ply form, but you had to go literally downstairs and get those forms, come back upstairs and do the manual work of making sure that you put in the right information, code wise and all of that. But it was hey, it was like, okay, this is what we do, this is what we do. And that was a move up. But
Wow.
but then to go, we started with the fax machine after that.
Right,
People
fax
ordering,
machine. That's right.
yeah, people ordering their food by the rest to the restaurant. We were so amused by calling the restaurant and giving them our order over the phone, and
Mm-hmm.
they would tell us, "Oh, now you can fax it to us." We go,
Mm-hmm.
"Really?" And so we fax it, and when the doctor's office would fax information to us at the hospital, they would the fax machine companies would say, make a hard copy because that fax print is going to fade.
And that's a good idea to make.
Yeah,
You
so
know
we
what? Even today with technology, I mean,
uh-huh,
not with the fax, but I mean, with just the computer and period, a
uh-huh.
lot of times when I have some documents online, I'll still print them out
Yeah,
so
I
that
do
I have
too.
a backup. And what I really like today too is that I can print directly from my phone and don't always have to print from the computer. I said, Allahu Akbar, Allah is so merciful. Oh, I just love
You
it.
click and I know at the library, they have where everyone is in their station at their computer, and it will tell you, okay, when you click print, it's going to give you a code, and everyone goes to the same printer. Uh, and in some libraries, they'll say printer A or printer B, but nonetheless, you have a code that you go there. And what I'm amused at now is that your paying part, you don't only have to you can pay with cash, of course, but now you can just wave that waving of the card.
Isn't that a blessing?
You know,
Wait the call.
can you
Allahu
imagine?
Akbar.
I'm still trying to figure how it knows.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it knows, but it
How
knows.
it knows my number, my card, my banking account, build my banking ability from everyone else's just by that wand looking thing that's printed on this card.
That
And
is such a
they say, just
blessing.
hold it over there. And
Mhm.
That's
it
right.
goes,
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
And speaking
I
of,
don't think I'll make it up to, excuse me, I apologize. Go right
no,
ahead.
you go ahead. I think I'll remember what I had to say about
Okay,
libraries. You
I don't
go
think
ahead.
I'll make it to the part of the driverless cars. I think I'll trust my walking unless it's something so treacherous and so timely that I need to. I would be terrified. I think. Oh gosh! But go ahead, Dr. Sharifa.
Oh, well, I'll say something about that too. Well, Muhammad can tell you I don't trust too much in anything that human beings have created. But
Yes.
with those cars, when I saw something I was looking at, I don't remember if it was on TV or what, because I don't have a TV now. I got rid of it because of the unnecessary cost, because I don't watch it that often, right? But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
when I was watching about these electric cars and the I'll just say that a person was in the car in the passenger seat,
Mm-hmm.
okay, watching as the car moved along and he was explaining it, and he said, that it was doing good, except it's good to have a person there in the car who can quickly take over, because in
Yes.
this instance, the car ran into some type of road construction and had to make a quick detour. And he grabbed the wheel, the person, because the electric car couldn't handle that, especially at the last minute. And
See?
that made
And
me even
detecting
more
people.
uncomfortable. Yeah, they need people.
And it said that one infraction too was where a the car sensor could detect that something was in its path, and it
Mhm.
wound up being a lady who was on her bicycle. She wound up getting killed by it because it could not
Oh,
detect
wow.
whether it was just a lump of something and it just rolled right over.
Oh, that is so scary. Oh, so sad too. Oh, I hate
Yes.
to hear that.
So we come, and this is what I was saying about our mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses us with words that have more the power of words and the power of our mind to be moved by these words. And then so the thinking has to take place. So if we rely on the mechanisms to be the thought process,
Mhm.
the thinking for us, we can't do that.
You're
There's an
right.
extreme.
I agree. Now I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Oh, I know about libraries.
Mm-hmm.
When you said how we've come a long way with technology. Remember the days of the microfilm and the microfiche? Because
I
I've
love those
even had
microfiche.
to use that.
Fische. I loved even spelling it. Microfiche. I loved it.
Right.
Weren't they clearer? They were clearer, weren't they?
Well,
The
some
little
of them were,
microfiche.
but just a few years ago, to my surprise, it was in the 2000s when I went to the library, and some of the research I was doing,
Uh-huh.
that it it was only available on the microfiche. So
Oh,
I didn't even know they still had those. I didn't know how to use
I
the machine. The library had to
yes.
show me.
I now I know in the law library at the courthouse.
Mhm,
I had gone, my husband and I had gone in there. We were looking up properties and we wanted to get some information on our property. And
mhm,
so going in there, sure enough, the storage they had with our property information was on the microfiche or microfilm. And they will tell you, you go and you have this big and now it's smaller, but
mhm,
the magnifying thing that you would place it under.
mhm. Yeah, and those
The
machines, they're large too.
Yes, they are. And you get it, but I love the how they have it cataloged, that you can literally go in there and on the computer itself,
Mhm,
you click a button, alphabetically, and you
mhm,
know pretty much the vicinity you want to look up and how it
mhm.
goes zoop,
Oh,
and then
right,
it'll zoom in to clearly come into
right.
focus what you need with all those thousands of addresses and information,
A lot
and it
of
zooms in for you. Then it tells you where it's cataloged in the library.
alhamdulillah. Wow.
Alhamdulillah. Keep the human being human. I tell you.
Because I've heard some people tell me, well, a robot can do this and can do that. And I said, but who created the robot? I said,
Mhm.
whenever you have any type of technology, you can trace it back to a human being. Because they
I
would tell me,
mean,
no, a robot can create a robot. I said, but you keep tracing it back. But the
yeah, I
ultimate
mean,
creator, of course, is the creator
I mean,
that gives human
even
beings permission to
yes.
create some things. But it's just like, and nowadays, I don't remember exactly what I was going to say, but there are a lot of little simple things that we used to use that the youth nowadays, they don't even know what we're talking about or what.
Exactly. You can go outside now, the same sunshine. that we've adapted, we've gotten a lot from, like the solar panels and all of that.
Mhm.
But we go outside and that sunshine, and I'm going, oh, the heat that the sun generates. I said, we better find some kind of way to channel it and keep it, for cold time. But
Right.
but we go outside and you can put a material, a cloth thing
Mhm.
there, different colors, and you'll see how the sun will be hotter through different materials.
You're right. Yes.
And we used to take glass. Remember, I don't know if you remember, but we used to take glass, broken glass, and then we position it where the sun can go through it. And they tell you, be careful, do not shine it on an insect or on one another because it will literally burn you.
I remember those days. Wow.
Yeah, the sun passing through that glass, it intensifies the heat, and whatever you shined it on, it was going to pierce and burn that item.
Well,
It
that
could,
is
it could start.
something.
It is. So that's the natural creation and the power of it. We could never stand the power of the natural creation from the coldest point to the hottest point. You will get burned, frostbite, frostbitten, and get burned, and to the hottest part, you'll get burned. So stay in the middle. You're still gonna get hot.
Right.
You're still gonna get cold.
But you need that balance. I
But
didn't realize it's 10 o'clock already.
oh, okay. So we'll get ready to go over to a new day for Al Islam Community Radio, everyone. 971-379-9162. Meet us over there. And that is only because of the space and time we have here on American Muslim 360. We want you to return at 1 p.m. for MAP 5, Muslim American Power 5. Come right on back with us. Thank you. Thank Allah for you. And then at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., we have Optimal Health. And from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., we have Maya Ala Hal. Our illustrious hosts will be there for us. So get on the train. Let's go over to New York now. 971-379-9162. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum
Walaikum
assalam.
assalam. Thank you. I enjoyed talking to you.